Hello everyone and welcome back to another video about QuickBooks and how to make your business better. Today's information is on reoccurring transactions. So QuickBooks has this great service online for recurring transactions. So recurring transactions are just a fancy word for saying something that repeats itself in your system automatically. So for example, you could use something like your automatic coffee subscription for your office, or sending out invoices immediately to your clients, and you don't have to think about it. It'll automatically put it in your system, and then when you get to the end of the month and you have to reconcile those bank statements, super easy to get that done. And it makes your accountant's life much easier, but also yours, so that it's much simpler. All right, so we are going to go over here real quick to QuickBooks Online and show you what this all means. So you will go up here to the gear, go to recurring transactions, and it'll show you there are several options in here right now. Okay, so you will see there's some bills in here, some expenses, invoices, all those things are automatic. So we're going to show you how to do that. All right, so if we go over here to all expense we already have, we can create something reoccurring. So you'll see here's a MasterCard. This is Bob's Burgers, so it's a meal entertainment. It may not be a recurring, but for today's example, we will go ahead and do that. Maybe you have a lunch out every Monday, so maybe it is recurring. So we'll go ahead and do reoccurring. So in the template up the top, you can change this template name to be something, like Bob's Burgers on Mondays, or whatever would make sense for your company. And the payee will actually stay Bob's Burgers, but the template name can change. So you will see here you have scheduled reminders, etc. So the scheduled means it'll automatically enter. QuickBooks will do this automatically. Absolutely automatically. So only do it if you know for sure this transaction is going to happen. Otherwise it'll create duplicates in your system, and that won't be fun. But if you know for sure it's going to happen, interest on your credit card every month, or your bank account every month, or fees for something, may be absolutely automatic, and then you don't have to think about it. All right. The other options are reminders. So you can take those reminders and you'll do a specific date, and it'll actually remind you once a month, hey, or once a week, whatever, hey, don't forget you have this expense, this income, whatever it is you're creating, to pop up out all the time. So it'll do that. And then the unscheduled is just a way for you to save that information. If it's something extremely complicated, like a journal entry or something, for example, that you want to remember all the little tiny details, you can do unscheduled, and then you can go create that when it's supposed to happen. All right, so another thing on this form, you can create it several days in advance. So for example, the bills we showed you on the previous screen, you can create maybe 5 days before it's due, so you can get those checks written before it's due, and then it won't be late. Okay, and then down here you can create how often it's going to happen, monthly, weekly, daily, and set the schedule for that. It could be every month, it could be every 3 months, whatever works for your organization. And then you have a start date. It could start today, it could start next month, it could start in 3 months, and then it will remind you or automatically schedule, whatever the case. So because we pulled this from an expense that was already created, that means that it has already pulled your general ledger, your category that you need that expense to go into, and then the amount here as well. You can add a description, so like Monday meetings, right? And the amount, you can create it billable to a client. So maybe you take a client out every Monday for burgers, but then you actually bill them later for that. So you could do billable and add your customer's name if that is what you needed to do. Okay. And then you would do save the template, and it's ready to go. And we left this one as scheduled, so it'll automatically send it out every month. You may or may not like that, so make sure you put reminders or not. Okay, then we're going to switch over to recurring invoices. So if you're going to invoice your customer on a monthly basis, and it's the same exact amount, for example, sometimes you have them on a payment plan, Or for this company is a lawn service, so maybe they're billing the exact same amount every month for their lawn service, or every week, whatever the case may be. You can do that. So we're going to pull up an example of here. So we'll pull up an invoice we've had in the past, right? And we'll look at this and say, oh yes, that's right, we do have a weekly service with them, so we're going to go ahead and make a recurring invoice. So on this one, I'm going to make it a reminder, okay? So it'll remind me on the exact day that I'm going to send it out. It has my customer name, their email address. That email address is important because you could automatically send them an email every time the invoice is created, and then you don't have to think about it. On this example, however, it's a reminder, so I'm not going to automatically send the email because it means I want to look at it, I want to edit the detailed information, and then I can send it off to them. Okay? There's also a print later option. So if these customers don't like checking their email, or invoices sent to their email gets lost and they actually pay faster if you do paper, you can print later, go to your print later screen, print it later when it's ready to send. Okay? Also, there's an include unbilled invoice charge. So for example, we just showed you how you could bill later on the expense we just created. It would pull in automatically on the invoice if you're making a recurring invoice for you and show you that expense. Again, you can set it monthly, weekly, whatever works for you, and you can have a start date of now, or you could say no, these happen at the beginning of every month, so I'll go ahead and set that up to start July 1. So if you look at the expenses down here, he has landscaping, gardening, so it's pulled in from the last one. It's a weekly service, so that means, oh wait, we need to come up here, change this to every week on Monday, right? But maybe it's not starting July 1, maybe it's starting next week, so we'll edit that and the amount that it's going to be. So it looks like here they actually billed them for an expense. You may not have this rock fountain every week. I'm guessing they only built the rock fountain once. Okay, so you can go ahead and delete this because you don't want it on the reoccurring invoice, right? See this, we're up here at reoccurring. Okay, reoccurring, you just want the weekly service. However, it's a reminder, so when you pull up the reminder to create it later, it will say, oh yeah, there's these other bills we need to add. So just this line will be a reoccurring. All right, so we'll save the template. Go ahead. Uh-oh, it didn't like us. Oh, I hit it twice, that's why. Okay, so we'll close that. Now we'll go back over here to a recurring screen. We'll go ahead and refresh that, and you will see that it will now have the two additional things that I've created on reoccurring. Okay, so we go down here, and the lawn service for Freeman Sports is there, and Bob's Burger Joint is there. Okay, and this screen is great because you can also sort it, look at it. If you're like, wait, I know there was something I was supposed to do tomorrow, you can sort by date and it'll bring up your next reoccurring transactions. All right, so you'll also notice on here there were some that we created as reminders. So the reminders, obviously, are reminders. There are several screens you can look at to see those reminders. On the very front page, maybe we'll go back here to the very front page on the dashboard. It's not going to show it right now because the reminders aren't going to happen until later. The one problem with this is you cannot set those dates to the past. So I couldn't set it up to give you that a complete example today, but there would be a section up here at the beginning where it says, hey, you have reminders, please go take care of those. Okay. The other one is to push the reminder list button, and then you would have a list of everything that would be due now or you have missed in the past. All right, so that's how those reminders work. And if you, for example, were like, oh, I know it's going to remind me on July 1, but I want to go ahead and enter it now. You can hit this drop-down box. You can skip the next one. You're like, oh wait, no, we're not doing that this Monday. Let's skip it. You can duplicate, but if you click the use option, it'll go ahead and bring that up as an invoice ready, or an expense in this case, ready to be created. You can say, oh yeah, everything's right, great, save and close, and it's entered in your system. Okay, so reminders can be used, summarizing this information. It can be used, one, to remind you it can be used too to automatically entered, or it can be used in the third way, which means it saves that information for a later time when you may need it. Maybe not automatically or reminders, but just so you don't forget how you charged that expense or income in the past. So if you loved all of this information and you need to, and I went through this way too fast, you need more information on how to do it correctly, there is a handout, so follow this link down here and you will find both the video and the handout so you can review that information later. Alright, so if you still want to get a hold of me and ask me more questions, maybe something wasn't clear, or there's a different problem you have in your accounting software, feel free to reach out. And here is all the detailed information on how to get a hold of me: Facebook, website, email, all of that. Please feel free to reach out if you need help.